Want to move now to a completely different subject, and that is, of course, the ongoing terrible situation in Ukraine, because Russian strikes have destroyed nearly a third of Ukraine's power stations. That's according to Vladimir Zelensky. More missiles have hit Kyiv, and 30% of Ukraine's power stations have now been destroyed, causing massive blackouts across the country. The president said this on Twitter, and he added there was no space left for negotiations with President Vladimir Putin's regime. So many areas of that country now experiencing power cuts, and 3 people died after Russian strikes hit a Kyiv thermal power plant 3 times, with thick black smoke rising from one of the districts in the north. Joining me now is Cormac Smith, former strategic communication advisor to Ukraine. Good morning to you.
David, good morning to you, sir. Nice to see you again.
Lovely to see you. Always a pleasure to talk to you. You know, Ukraine fell off the sort of front pages here because of the political turmoil that's going on here in the UK. But actually, the horrors, the atrocities being committed in the name of Putin against the Ukrainian people just make horrific reading. 30% of those power stations now out of action. And of course, it's getting cold. We're getting into winter. Just paint the picture for us.
Look, I think what we have, David, is Putin is now seeking to weaponize winter. Things are going very, very bad for him on the battlefield. I just looked up the figures. Estimates, according to the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, over 66,000 Russian soldiers have been killed, and you can multiply that by 3 for the number of casualties. And we've heard the reports of the amount of land being taken back in the offensive. Look, it's significant with this new General Surovkin, who has a reputation as a pitiless butcher, who has been put in command of the Ukraine war, that when things are going bad on the battlefield, Putin has turned his ire on the Ukrainian people. This is an attempt to terrorize the Ukrainian people. And coming into winter, and remember, winter in Ukraine is not like winters here. It regularly goes below -20. And as you say, a third of power stations out. I was also looking at the gas supply, gas being hugely important. And Naftagaz, which is the national gas company, has estimated they have less than 2/3 of the amount of gas in storage that they need to get through a really cold Ukrainian winter. So it's absolutely critical, and I think we need to be very, very clear in the West how we need to respond at this stage.
I couldn't agree more. And for me, Putin is now very dangerous. He's cornered. He knows he's in trouble. He's resorting to really violent, horrific tactics against civilians. What should we read into the fact that Ben Wallace is now in Washington? Should we read into this? And my concern is clearly the nuclear preemptive strikes that he may launch. I mean, I'm not sure Putin is psychologically well.
I think the fact that Ben Wallace is in Washington meeting his counterpart, Secretary Austin, is very, very good news. You know, the Americans and ourselves, the Brits, have been at the forefront of supporting Ukraine from the very, very start. We can only hope that out of those discussions come a determination to give Ukraine even more weapons. I spoke to a senior Ukrainian diplomat earlier this morning. They are still, what they need more than anything else now is the high-tech air defense systems. But, you know, they have been asking for help to close their skies almost since the start of this war. So we really must expedite this now. They also need support in, you know, financial support to enable them to get their facilities repaired and back online as quick as possible.
They do. Cormac, always a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed. That's Cormac Smith, former strategic comms advisor to Ukraine.